Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International Conference of Pharmaceutical Regulatory Affairs in in this city. This is a great opportunity for us to participate in exchanging our thought and idea about regulation. I'm Ting-Chao Chou, recently retired from Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York and Cornell University, and recently from PD Science, LLC. My talk today will be focused on essential consensus and the scientific definition for advancement of pharmaceutical affairs. Research, development, and regulation can form triangular relationship. It's it's supposed to be in harmony and in equilibrium. Okay, the research result supposed to translate into product, and the research, major research knowledge will go to regulatory agency. They set up a rule and guideline for the pharmaceutical sectors. However, there are obviously not optimal relationship there. So that would need a certain kind of reform to improve the situation. The progress, whether it's a science or development or regulation, the progress we can see, we can hear and feel, but deficiency not always apparent. In most cases, keep silent for complacency. All this progress should be based on fact and truth. For reform, we need to know how, consensus, and take action. Scientific progress, I would like to discuss only the problem. Three major items I want to point out is the theoretical basis for green research, which is very in deficiency. And also there's an overemphasis of PK over PD, pharmacodynamics. And also another important thing is synergy definition for drug combination, because it's widely used, most important disease such as cancer and AIDS. So they are all drug combination, but there's no definition. So lack of scientific definition lead to developmental inefficiency and regulatory less effectiveness. Technological breakthroughs are easy to accept, such as candle to light bulb, film to digital camera, telephone to iPhone, 2D to 3D printing. However, theoretical novelty and conceptual breakthrough are very difficult to be accepted because there are so many self-appointed die-hard defender, even for the faulty premises. Let's look at the pharmaceutical development during the past 2-3 decades. The expenditure, R&D expenditure, skyrocketed, but the approved drug, no increase, even decrease. Especially new molecular entity drug, very little, no progress. Apparently, this cannot be sustainable. Everybody knows the problem, but what's the solution? when you look at the science, I would like actually this kind of situation, research, development, regulate all share the fault, the responsibility. But the scientific aspect is a very major reason. We look at this colorful cartoon with a lot of branches, pathways. The question is, what can we do with this? How to integrate them? Nobody knows. So all the fancy stuff produced, modern molecular biology really help very little. This is this is the publication based on Web of Science, big data. Nature magazine last October published a paper. They listed they mentioned 58 million scientific papers published during the past 114 years. Okay, sorry. Front page of this paper pile up can reach 5,800 meters, which is the same height as Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest peak in Africa, or equivalent to 15 Empire State Building next together. That's height, okay. Unfortunately, there are 43% of the paper got 0 citation. You can see science is a very controversial and uncertain and sometimes confusing or contradicting. So the scientists work there a lot. This pile only represents here the top 1 percentile here, and this is the double helix Watson and Crick paper. I have been using, so the interesting is 100 most cited paper. Most of them are methodological or statistical. Very few theoretical or conceptual. I have been using theoretical approach, using mass action law, and develop combination index theorem in 1984 with Portalari. And this paper has been cited 3,400 times in 850 different journals. So this is equivalent to top 15 centimeter of the peak of Mount Kilimanjaro. So it's among the top cited, especially in theoretical paper, only a few. Using the approach I'm using, it proved to be very efficient. I have a small lab, usually 5 people. I published 273 papers, which are cited about 16,000 times. So it's very efficient and very big impact. The approach I used was mass action law. This simple equation called immediate effect equation looks very simple. Dose and effect dynamic. Fraction affected versus fraction not affected equal D over median effect dose to the m's power. This is deduced from 300 derived equations using mathematical deduction. And rearrange of this equation end up Michaelis-Menten equation for enzyme kinetics, end up Henderson-Hasselbalch equation for pH ionization, and Hill equation for ligand occupancy, and Scatcher equation for receptor binding. These are 4 basic equations in biochemistry and biophysics. So I will spend a lot of time talking about this tomorrow morning. and also today. The median effect equation, of course, it will take me whole day to talk about that equation, but this equation can be rearranged to multiple drugs. For two drug combination, we got combination index equation, and the combination index equal 1 is additive, smaller than 1 synergism, greater than 1 antagonism, and also we derive dose reduction index. And this the algorithm how it was derived, calculated, and can be extended to n drug combination. This is also important. I will talk about it tomorrow. The CI equation introduced, I mentioned earlier, this is small journal, already one article cited over 4,300 times in 850 journals. So it's worldwide, it's become one of the most cited theoretical paper of all time. This is the review article in Pharmacology Review not too long ago. It's talk about all my theories, theoretical basic experimental design and computer simulation. And it's cited 1,200 times in 384 journals, the most cited pharmacology journal since 2006. This is the FDA drug developmental scheme, preclinical research, clinical trial, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, new drug application approval, and post-approval surveillance. This will cost hundreds of millions, or some say 1 billion, even $2 billion. Very, very expensive. If not regulated properly, it's tremendous impact. Especially clinical trial costs a lot of money. So, as I mentioned, I pinpoint 3 items which is a serious problem in drug regulation. One is we need small experimental site, reduce data point for econo-green biomedical research to reduce waste of time, resources, and lab animal. And don't overemphasize pharmacokinetic and neglect pharmacodynamic. It should be other way around. Reduce cost, increase efficiency, and emphasize efficacy, toxicity, and interaction. These are all PD. Need the principle of PD because even biomedical community, even FDA, they don't have clear idea what is PD. Everyone PK-PD, but they even don't know what is PD. No theoretical basis. So there's a huge deficiency. Another is consensus for synergy definition for drug combination, especially for cancer and for AIDS. So I'll go to these 3 items in more detail. When we talk about drug combination, most people think it's a PK, absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion. And this has n steps. Nobody knows how many steps. It's endless of cost and time and effort. It's a budget sink, bottomless sink. PD is so important, but neglect is determine efficacy, toxicity, and interaction, and don't have basic principle. So what I'm proposing is a very direct, efficient way. Don't fool around too much here and cost too much time and cost. About 4 years ago, I presented a major talk at Drug Development Summit in Zurich, Switzerland. I talked about why PD is more important than PK. PD shows what stop drug does to the body. PK, what the body does to the drug. PK tell us what it make to be a good drug. PK have proper use of a drug. PK have exactly defined equation, derived equation with definition index. It determines efficacy, determines toxicity, but PK determines none of them. Which is more important is obvious. Why FDA spend so much attention to PK? I don't understand. It should have a major reform. My approach was quite lucky. Draw attention to integrative biology. They put my theory in the front cover, which journal is published by Royal Society of Chemistry, Cambridge, UK. So this is about the drug combination, the shortcut. And they even put the block. They say, one equation to lead the way to greener medical sciences. Especially they mentioned the median effect equation, the mass action law. Using my approach, we can do small size experiment. This comparison, two cancer drug combination, in vitro, in animal, in clinical trial, in terms of time, cost, size, and synergy determination. This is tremendous saving of time, resources, and effort in animals. So conserve laboratory animal efficient size. This was reported in these 3 articles. Then now let's talk about drug combination. This is controversy for 100 years. This combination, drug combination, widely used in cancer and AIDS and traditional Chinese medicine. But there are 20 different definitions in literature. It's total mess. And not support the others. Even FDA, they don't know what is synergy. And they approve one after another or decline or reject like that. 1984, Zhou and Talalay, Talalay is my professor at Johns Hopkins, introduced CI, quantitatively determined combination synergy is smaller than 1, and so on, quantitatively determined, and with computer simulation. The argument is, if no clear definition of synergy, NIH, FDA, Patent Office, journal editor have no basis to judge or to regulate synergy claim. It's a very strong statement. And this controversy, I wish to put an end because these 3 articles I published have been cited by 6,000 papers worldwide. So there are, this is already the most cited method in the world of all time. But there are about 30–40% of scientists still using the wrong method in literature and spelling all over. This is multi-million dollar, $100 million data slides, okay? 2 clinical trials. It takes 4 to 5 years to complete. AGT and 3TC combination and AGT and interferon alpha combination. AGT, this combination published in New England Journal of Medicine. And using 366 patients, using very sensitive surrogate assay, very accurate. But their clinical design was inappropriate, actually wrong. They used a single dose of drug 1 and 2 doses of drug 2. Their conclusion was combined effect is greater than each drug alone. I say it means nothing to me. is no way to claim synergy because A plus B greater than A plus B greater than B. You don't need any proof. They spent 5 years, $100 million. that turned out like that. And FDA approved, patent office approved. Okay? So, just another clinical trial about the same time, using only 36 patients, using also the very accurate assay. And both use 3 doses of each drug and use the combination index method, quantitatively determine synergy. That's cited my paper, original paper. The conclusion is synergy is not determined by p-value, but by CI value. Synergy is not a statistical problem. It's a mass action law question. So they totally missed the point. All biomedical community, FDA, NIH, patent office, I have strong challenge for them. So, about the mass action law, it's a fundamental physical, chemical, and mathematical principle. So, define pharmacodynamic for single drug and drug combination. Provide algorithm for computerized simulation. Allow small size efficient design, experimental design using less data point. Facilitate ignore green biomedical research, thereby improve regulatory affairs. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I'm going to another keynote speech, and later on a regular speech. If you are interested, you are welcome. Okay, this is a side point, but very important. This advanced analytic, the most cited paper, when it was published in 1984, nobody cared, nobody understand. 1 citation a year. I cite myself. Second year, 6 citations. 31 years later, so almost 3,400 citations. One of the highest citation in the whole world. This is my comment. The first 10 years got 335 citations. How much longer have to wait? Now over 31 years, majority bioscientists in the world still don't understand what is the additive effect of 2 drugs, or what is synergy. Although they use worldwide, everybody drug combination. So, the paradigm switch, this famous term, is difficult. Reform is usually slow, but have to pay a very high price. At the end, I want to quote 2 greatest scientists, Max Planck, physics Nobel Prize winner of quantum mechanics. What he said: a new scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponent and making them see the light, but rather because its opponent eventually die and new generation grow up that is familiar with it. Another great philosopher, also scientist, Thomas Kuhn, he published a book called The Structure of Scientific Revolution. It is number 4, the most cited academic book of all time. Very famous book. What he said, and the paradigm shift is what his phrase in 1962. He said, normal science often suppress fundamental novelties because they are necessarily subversive to the basic commitment. So these 2 big scientists, they changed the concept of science, how it progresses. It's not gradual, it's a quantum jump. Just like from film camera to digital camera like that. So it's not usual concept of business as usual, gradually accumulate knowledge. That's not the way for scientific progress. It's a progress, but very slow and so he changed the entire concept of science. Thank you.